Welcome to Mr. Biz Radio, biz talk for biz owners. If you're ready to stop faking the funk and take your business onward and upward, this show is for you. And now, here's Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Mr. Biz Radio with me, Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth. And we're doing a special edition of Mr. Biz Radio here. We preempted our normal programming to do this because my guest, the man to my right here, he and I were texting a bit about the presidential debate. And I said, Paul, I think I want to do a show where we talk about the presidential debate, react to it, talk about some of the things that were said. And Paul's like, hey, I'm in. Paul's never void of opinion. For those of you who don't recognize Paul Rockwell, entrepreneurs, owns a bunch of different things. He's been in a bunch of different businesses, very successful guy, real estate guy. He's been on the show in the past. It's been
a few years.
It's been a few years since he's been on. We've been doing a show for we're closing in on 8 years doing a show now. So
that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Paul's been on a bunch of times, but it's been a while since he's been on. And he's in studio, as you can see. So we're going to talk about the presidential debate. We're going to do, because this is a special edition, we're not going to do 3 segments. We're going to do 2. So they're going to be about 15 minutes long each. We're going to talk about, first of all, overall impressions. We're going to talk about some things on the economy, Ukraine, and then immigration. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Looking forward to diving into this. So first of all, what were your overall impressions, Mr. Rockwell, of each of them?
I was shocked, to be honest.
Yeah.
You have a guy who's incoherent, has no idea where he is.
Yeah.
And then you have a guy who loves listening to himself talk.
Right.
And it's just sad. I'm shocked that we're even at this stage in our country.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it, and they brought it up at one point, and that's one thing I wanted to mention too, is I was pleasantly surprised. I thought that the moderators were going to be very one-sided, being that it was CNN.
I would agree. They cut them both off.
They did.
It was click.
And I thought the questions were fair. They weren't completely slanted in one way. I thought they called it pretty much down the middle. And there were a few times where they cut them off and they're just like, yeah, we're done. And then, Trump said, hey, can I talk about this? And they're like, well, I'm going to give you a minute. You can talk about whatever you want in your minute. You know what I mean? So I was surprised by that. But, they mentioned it during Biden's would be 86 at the end of his term.
When he leaves, yes.
If he wins the next election, 86 years old. And I think Trump would be 82, something like that. I mean, so two dudes, lower 80s, is what we're staring in the face at this point. So we'll see how that goes. But I like how two things, and this happened towards the end of the debate, but the golf handicap thing. When he said he was a 6 handicap, and I've seen some clips of Biden playing golf. I'm sure they just were bad shots, but someone who's a 6 handicap does not hit shots like I've seen. So I don't know what the heck that is, but it was like they jousted about that more than anything else. Like
That's crazy.
They got ticked.
I couldn't believe what I was listening to.
It's like, what are we doing? We're talking about golf handicaps at a presidential debate, which was hilarious. And the other thing I thought was interesting was at the very end, Trump said, I wish you were a great president. If you were a great president, I wouldn't even be here. I wouldn't have run again. If you did a great job, he's like, you just ruined the country, blah, 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 all that other stuff. We're going to talk about some of these specific things, but both of them exaggerated / bent the truth, let's say, on several different things. But, one thing it's Trump is Trump. I was surprised that Trump did not get into more name calling and things like that. As a matter of fact, Biden was the one calling him a sucker and a loser and that. I was like, what? They tell him to be more aggressive or what? But there were multiple times, as you mentioned, that Biden was just, you could tell he lost his train of thought. And, and under the pressure and the licensing, I'm sure that happens. But it was interesting. After the debate, I went back and I Googled it. I went back and saw Biden speaking like 20 years ago. I would love to see someone put together a video of Biden speaking 20 years ago and then him from that debate. If people in any party that are going to be voting in this election would look at those, they'd be like, holy crap. I mean, but it's what you would expect for a dude who's 82 years old or whatever. What the heck?
Well, how about Trump? You look at a video from 20 years ago of him, I think he has more energy now.
Maybe.
Like that's what shocked me is the amount of energy he has
And
at his age.
in the lead up to it, when Trump said we should take a drug test because he was insinuating they were going to pump him up with Adderall or pump Biden up with Adderall or something like that. If they did, they didn't give him enough. I'll just throw that out there.
Maybe some, yeah.
So I wanted to mention, I forgot this. I was going to do this in the introduction to the show. I love this shirt. I don't know what you guys think. I love this shirt, but the Biz family hates it, so I never get to wear it anywhere. So I literally was like, this is the perfect shirt to wear for this show. And I want to give a shout out to Grunt Style. Love these guys, veteran-owned company. They give back to veterans, support veterans a bunch, and wanted to give them a shout out and make sure everyone saw that. And plus, some of you are going to hate this shirt. Some of you are going to love it, but it's from Grunt Style. And they got a bunch of cool, I have probably a dozen of their shirts at least. They got a bunch of cool styles. Not everything is kind of corny, hokey like this. All right. So the economy. First of all, they talk about the import tariff. So Trump's saying he wants to put a 10% import tariff on anything that comes into the country. And Biden's saying that's going to cost families a bunch of money and that's going to make it worse and it's going to drive up inflation. And I think that he's not seeing the bigger picture. I mean, what do you think about an import tariff?
Well, I'm probably somewhere in the middle of that.
Mm-hmm.
So 10% across the board. I feel there needs to be more reaching across the aisle, across all the countries to work together instead of me, and them type stuff. But I think either way, I'm for it. Let's go. Let's roll. I'm about our country, building stuff here, using our processes and methods and resources to do what we have to do here and put our country to work and get them back on track. I mean, we've realized that the cost of things is irrelevant here, it seems like. I mean, you have fast food, $10 hamburgers. You told me that 5 years ago. I'd be like, you're crazy.
Right.
And they still have lines around the building.
Right.
So the cost of goods here, in my mind, is irrelevant. We as a country are able to provide. Now, maybe that's my perspective of it. I know there's a lot of people doing without, but at the same time, without what? Do you want a job? Building the high-end components of what we're doing. We have Intel coming here, building a factory. You're talking about jobs, well-paying jobs.
Yeah.
And look at the factories across the Midwest since the beginning of the industrial age. We've always led the world in products we build and wages. So let's keep rolling. We don't need to worry about if China wants to sell their EV vehicles here and stuff, make them pay.
Yeah, and that's my opinion too, is I feel like, so on one side I could see like, yeah, well, the thing is, the big picture is the obvious thing is he wants to encourage people to buy US made stuff.
Yes.
He wants people buying US stuff. He wants to create jobs in the US. So he's thinking he put a tariff on stuff. The things that are imported are going to be too expensive and you're going to turn to US made products, which I'm 100% for. I understand it could drive the prices up because people could say maybe that's still not competitive. But, and I don't know how true it was, but, Trump mentioned, and when he defended his position, he said, none of these European countries want anything from us. They just want to send all their crap to us for us to buy their stuff, but they don't want to take anything from us. So he's like, it's a complete trade imbalance. And I don't have time to look that up before we did the show here because I wanted to see what the trade balance looks like.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know those numbers.
Yeah, I don't either. So I wanted to, that'd be an interesting thing to see. Again, I don't know if Trump maybe exaggerate that some. I'm sure that we export a decent amount of stuff, but I'm guessing that it's majorly imbalanced. And that's his answer to the imbalance. And I feel like keep doing what we're doing is not gonna work. Like, I think we gotta figure something out for that. But national debt. So during the debate, Biden mentioned that Trump ran up the national debt more than any other president ever. Fact check that, incorrect. He was the second most. So a big part of that, of course, was COVID. I'm not trying to make excuses for the guy, but a big part of that was COVID. Obama actually ran up the most debt. Now, again, he had 2 terms, so big difference there. On a per year, Trump is definitely the highest. Obama was added 7.7 trillion. So the national debt's almost at 35 trillion as of today. Trump, 7.7 trillion under Obama, 8 years though. Trump 6.7 trillion in 4 years, right? So per year, big difference there. Biden so far looks like he's at 2.5 trillion. And obviously the year he's got another 6 months or so out. So I don't know, maybe he ends up at 3 trillion or something like that for 4 years. But I think the national debt thing is, I mean, we could do 5 shows about that. We're just kicking the can down the road. I mean, it's just.
I don't even, it's mind-boggling to me when we start talking national debt. Nobody talks about how it gets paid back. No one talks about what it actually really means in the big picture of things. People talk about our children having to pay back the debt, blah, blah, blah. Really?
Right.
I mean, as your children, have you paid any of the national debt back?
Right.
I haven't paid any of the national debt back. Like, it's a big, I don't even know the word. I'm just completely in shock at everything we look at today. So the one thing I want to get out there that I read was I was impressed that the young voters, Trump has a 15-point lead.
Really?
Did you read that today?
No, I haven't seen that, no.
In voters from 18 to 26 or 21 to 36 years old. I was shocked.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not, because the young kids that are voting have put up with so much bullshit and all this talk and all this is kind of like, they're just like, they're ready for a change. And I think when you start talking about changes, Trump's, if you're going to vote those two, that's your choice. That's where you're going to go. The 3-party system isn't there. The 2-party system's not working. It needs to be fixed. I mean, Biden can't even get off the stage. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know who he is. We heard people talking about all of these things and on social media. They're like, he's incoherent. He's in diapers. I believe all of those things.
Now,
after watching the debate, the 1,000-mile stare, just
with his mouth open.
Yeah, multiple times. I'm like, this is a guy. So when we're talking about the young people who are favoring Trump, that gets me excited for 2032 when The Rock runs and all of those people are now my age, 40s and 50s, the ones running the economy. Finally, they're going to vote for somebody who has notoriety and, I believe, cares about all people.
I wonder if that is a lot to do with them looking at, the younger crowd looking at the two candidates and going, Biden is like a super old man. He reminds me of my grandfather
and they don't want their grandfather.
And they don't want that.
Yeah.
And so they're like, maybe they're not like, hey, I love Trump, but they're like, I don't want my grandfather to run the country.
And I think their grandfathers are like, I don't want to run the country.
Right.
Whose grandfather says they want to run the country?
Right.
Who has that kind of energy? Trump does.
He does.
He's an anomaly. He's a freak.
And
I would believe he's an alien if somebody came out and pulled his skin down, and I would believe that.
And you think about it, like you know that they had Biden pumped up as best they could. I bet he took. I'm not making fun of the guy.
Dude, he was on prescription meds.
Bad for the dude.
Prescription
his
meds.
His family,
yeah,
should. They're the ones that are at fault here. They keep pushing him out.
Not just his family, dude. It's the establishment.
Yeah, but his wife can step in and say he can't do this.
That debate showed you that he's not pulling the strings.
Yeah.
Why? Because he can't.
Right. Yeah, he can't.
So somebody is.
Yeah. Well, we're going to hit a break here. Just be a quick 2 commercials, 60 seconds. We're going to come back. We're going to hit on inflation, Ukraine, and immigration in the next segment here on Mr. Biz Radio. Again, I mean, this is so interesting to talk about this. We can talk about this for days, but come back after the break.
How would you like to have direct access to Mr. Biz to help you run your business more profitably and more efficiently? At MrBizSolutions.com, you get live access to not only Mr. Biz, but also several of his hand-picked and trusted business experts, each with 20 plus years of experience to help you optimally manage and grow your business. That's just the start of where Mr. Biz Solutions begins. Learn more at MrBizSolutions.com. That's MrBizSolutions.com.
Attention, Mr. Biz Nation. We have an exclusive offer just for you. Get lifetime access to scarcity countdown timers and logic links for only $69. Yes, you heard it right. Only $69. These tools will add urgency to your email campaigns and website pages, helping you increase conversions, sales, and capture more leads. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Visit getpulsetools.com now and take your business to new heights.
Got a question for Mr. Biz you want answered on air? Email it to info@MrBizSolutions.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking about, let's jump in inflation, because we have a bunch of things to cover here. We get only about 14 minutes left here, so I want to make sure we get through these. Inflation. So again, a bunch of things were said, a lot of them were false by both of the candidates. But just a level set, did some research. In December of 2020, because Trump mentioned during the thing, I gave you almost no inflation. He's actually correct. During 2020, inflation was down less than 0.5% for a good chunk of the year. It ended the year in December 2020 at 1.4%. So when Biden took over, essentially, that the last inflationary statistic was, it was at 1.4%. In June of 2022, so fast forward, year and a half later under the Biden administration, it was at 9.1%.
Oh, wow.
From 1.4. It's currently sitting at about 3.3. It's been in the 3.5 range for about the last 10 months or so. So he has brought it down, but he's brought it down by raising interest rates significantly. And in my opinion, I know a little bit about this, and they waited way too long to start increasing rates. They should never let inflation get to 9.1% before they started raising rates. They should have started raising them when it got up to, 5, 5.5, et cetera. And then they could have made much more gradual things instead of this absolute gut punch that they've made with the economy. But I wanted to mention those numbers because holy crap, like it's just crazy.
That is crazy.
9.1. So 1.4 to a peak of 9.1.
Now for people out there like me, what the 9.1 means that on that particular day, items cost 9.1% more than they cost 12 months prior.
Correct. Yep. That's exactly it.
Right?
Yep.
So now we're at 3 per
3.3
year. So we went from 1 to 9 to 3. So that's cumulative, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at like maybe 20% from 2020, 2021 to now 25%. Right?
Yeah, because to your point, this is another thing. I'm glad you brought this
so
up.
People understand.
So people don't get that, right? So in June of 2022, when it was at 9.1, it's 9.1 versus June of 2021.
Yeah,
just like you
that
said.
one span.
Now, so it's only 3.3 now, which is actually a decent number. The goal for the Fed Open Market Committee is for it to be around 2%. Is their goal. So it's still a little higher than they want, but it's 3.3 above an inflated number from a year ago.
Yes.
So
it's very interesting when we talk about inflation, and even the 9.1 is not hyperinflation.
No,
I mean, let's get that.
Not like early 80s.
Clear.
Yeah.
On that.
Late 70s,
right,
early 80s.
18 plus 20.
Yep.
So even with that being said, I mean, stuff costs a lot more. There's a lot more reasons. COVID did a whirlwind.
Yeah.
On the economy.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of that. I'll mention this, and so with inflation, a lot of companies and even my clients, you were forced to increase cost, your cost you pass cost on to your customers during COVID, and now some costs have come down, and a lot of companies haven't come down with their prices. So now they're seeing, and expenses overall have come down since COVID. A lot of it in regards to the shipping and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So significantly decreased there. But all right, so we're running out of time here, but I want to touch real quick on Ukraine. So a couple of things. So Biden said, first of all, that basically the U.S. is only giving weapons at this point and not cash. That's false. He said that other NATO has given as much as the United States. That's false. Trump said he wants NATO to help with Ukraine as much as we do. So numbers. The United States at this point has given $175 billion to Ukraine. All other nations combined have given $78 billion. So of the total of roughly 153 million, we've given 175.
Wow.
All other nations combined. So we've given 56% of the aid, of total aid that's been given to Ukraine.
Wow.
And so this is why I think I wanted to bring this up and just touch on this real quick before we get into immigration, because I think a lot of people that don't like Trump look at it and go, oh, you don't want to support Ukraine, so that means you must mean you support Putin. No, it's like, hey, just like he did with NATO when he was president. Look, everyone else start writing some checks here. It's not just us that pay for everything. Like, and he mentioned during the debate, he's like, we have thousands of miles of oceans that separate us from this conflict. These other NATO nations, some of them border this conflict. Like, open your checkbooks up.
That's crazy to me. Double.
Yeah.
Did anyone have answers to it? Did Trump specifically?
No, they kind of danced around it.
Yeah,
and
so there's no real talk
and
on
name
specifics.
Trump said it would have never happened under him. He said Putin would never have taken this measure. He said, he went on this whole thing that he mentioned many times. The country's weak. People see Biden as a weak leader. Putin
I
would
won't
never
dispute any of that. I mean, do you think a Russian sub would be 100 miles from Florida if Trump was president?
No. Do you think that this is going back a bit, but that Chinese weather balloon
Would have made it to North Carolina?
Holy crap!
Hell no.
That thing just pissed me off that nothing was done about that until it gets all the way. It's like, why shoot it down now?
It was in the Carolinas, wasn't it?
Wait till it got the Carolinas in the ocean.
Yeah,
like it's already got everything it needs. Like, what are you doing?
It was sad.
All right, so immigration. Enough on Ukraine. I want to make sure, because immigration is a huge topic. So again, some numbers here. First of all, Biden said that the Border Patrol endorsed him. That's false. It's funny that the Border Patrol, actually, their X account, their Twitter account, came out that night of the debate and said, we've never endorsed Joe Biden. We will never endorse him. We fully support Donald Trump. So why would Biden say that, being that it's false?
He doesn't remember where he is. So maybe in 1982, they did support his theories on that.
Okay, so get this. So again, numbers. I'm a numbers nerd. You guys know that. Listen and watch the show. So I wanted to make sure, 100% fact. This is from government website. This isn't some news site or whatever. So I looked at immigration under Trump, immigration illegals come across, not legal immigration. Under Trump, it averaged over his 4 years, I'll cut to the chase, 36,688 per month came across the borders.
Per month
illegally. That sounds kind of high, but wait, there's more. Under Biden, his 4 years. Now the 24, I took the last statistics and I estimated what the rest of the year is going to look like. So I took a little bit of liberties, but I just took the average of the first 5 months I think they had of data, and then extrapolated that over 4 years. So I didn't blow the numbers up or anything like that. Under Biden, it is average, again, Trump 36,000, almost 37,000 a month. Under Biden, 190,000 on 146 people per month.
A month.
And it's gone up. It was 1.7 million the first year, 2.4 million, 2.5 million, and this year is going to be 2.5 million. Under Trump, the highest number was 852,000 per year. What's your reaction to that, Mr. Rockwell?
Well, I mean, I'm a numbers guy and a source guy, right? So we're considering these sources are valid.
This is the government.
So
this is the government website.
But it is right. So it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Neither president has a pathway to citizenship that should be in place with the resources to implement it, which is sad. If you take half the money we sent to Ukraine,
yes,
you could easily have a wall and a pathway to citizenship where you're allowing people to come in, and that's the big key. I've been personally affected by people wanting to come here and become citizens. Multiple people I know, and the pathway is very, very difficult. So as long as they're spewing out numbers like this, and there's illegals coming across, there's just no pathway to citizenship, and these are the conversations that need to be had. And I don't understand why these people can't talk about these types of visions and ideas to get the people who are voting for them on board and behind a vision and in reality. So I talk to people who are voting. We're not going to vote. We're just not going to vote, period. We're not going to vote for either one of these people. And I'm like, that's fine. And that's where we're come to.
Right.
Is a guy told me a long time ago, until the small business owners are starving in this country, there won't be change. because the small business owners in this country drive the country.
Drive the economy.
And right now, they're not starving. I mean, I'm one, you're one, a lot of your listeners are one, they want to be one. We're not starving. But I can tell you right now, when the majority of the people who run the country become starved,
yeah,
there will be a revolt. We will rebel because we will have the resources and the leadership to do it. We're the ones that have all of that.
Yeah.
It's not the ultra wealthy. It's not
right.
The bottom end. It's the people in the middle is the majority.
And I don't disagree with you at all in regards to the path to legal citizenship is difficult. At the same time, while it needs to be improved, that still doesn't give you the right to break the law, in my opinion. But I feel like because that's difficult, what do we always do as humans? Take the freaking easy road. Everyone takes the easy road, any chance you get, right? So, geez, if it might take me 18 months to get in the country, I don't know what the number is now on the wait time and all that kind of stuff, or I can get a plane ticket to Mexico and hike my butt across the border and now figure it out. What are you going to do? Right? I could do that. I could be in Venezuela and decide next week if I've got a little bit of cash, fly my butt up to Mexico, and I'll just trot my butt across the border with some cash.
Or anywhere in the world.
And the other thing is, I think that Trump, one of the mistakes I think he made on immigration, because he brought it up a billion times, which I would have done the same thing in a debate, considering the numbers we're talking about here, but he kept talking about the drugs, the mental institution, the prisoners, the felons, all that stuff. And yes, but the 2.5 million people they're going to come across, are there felons and people from mental institutions and terrorists in there, and they're bringing drugs? Yes. What's the percentage of those people that are that, right? And I think that that's where he's turning people off that are moderates and even on the left, because he just keeps categorizing all 2.5 million are from mental institutions and they're felons and they're bringing drugs across. But I do feel like that's a big part of drug problem in this country too, is, again, I don't know the numbers and no one can have the numbers, right? But
Mexico has already said that Mexico is not going to police the border.
Right.
They've already come out and said that.
Right.
They're afraid of the cartel.
Do you think by any reason, not only the drugs, but I mean, Mexico's been a decent ally to us, but there's been some bumpy road around there too. Do you think that Mexico wouldn't take advantage of, hey man, we got these derelicts that are going to rot in our prison and cost us a bunch of money?
Let them loose.
Let's take 10,000 of them up to the border and send them over to the United States.
Now,
I don't know that that's been done, but would that surprise you if that's been done?
Nothing surprises me at this point. We have a derelict wearing diapers debating on the presidential debate. I swear to, dude, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised at anything, and that's why we are where we are, is because anything goes.
Yeah.
Anything goes right now.
By the way, those numbers, I should have mentioned this, I'm sorry. That's a 418% increase on a monthly basis. 418% versus under Trump and under Biden. By the way, the Biden number, that's the average over 4 years, 190,000. It's averaging over 200,000 a month right now. And it has been for the last 2 years.
And those numbers tell you what people feel about our administration today.
Yeah. That
they can walk all over us. You can just walk in, a nuclear sub from Russia can be 100 miles off our coast. They can be in Cuba hanging out, setting up missile silos, and then doing whatever they want in Europe. It's sad. And
to that point, we're running out of time here, but I love the thing that Trump said, but again, people that are moderate and left probably didn't like this at all. He said, you don't fire anybody. And that sounds harsh, but guess what? Some people need fired. And he talked about Afghanistan. He goes, who got fired on the travesty that happened with our withdrawal from Afghanistan? He goes, someone should have been freaking fired. And most people go, that sounds really mean. The fact of the matter is, some people need to get fired sometimes.
And Trump fired people left and right.
He did. We're running out of time here, Paul. Thanks so much for coming. Great conversation. I wish we had more time, because this is good stuff, man. Good stuff. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic rest of your week. And don't forget, as always, cash flow is king.
To become part of Mr. Biz Nation, follow him on all social media platforms, or never miss a show by going to MrBizRadio.com. If you prefer free video content, visit the Mr. Biz YouTube channel, or check out his streaming channel, which is available on 100+ streaming platforms at MrBizNetwork.com.